everybody. Oh, y'all are ridiculous. Yay. It's really good to be back with y'all today. Hello, everybody joining us on the interwebs. Welcome to The Keep. All of us here invite you to join our adventure today, and we hope that for these few hours, we can help to provide a spot of sunshine during your day or a distraction from the chaos of the world that is around us right now. So thank you for coming with us on this journey. Especially for those of us here in the States, this week has been very challenging in a multitude of ways. Our hearts go out to all of those who have suffered from injustice and violence that has continued to be an ongoing issue in our country. If you want to find a way to help fight against this injustice, please do the research, listen to the stories of those around you, find a reputable organization to donate to, and do what you can to help. Please let this remind us to evaluate our actions before we act, to be kind to each other, and to remember to love our neighbors. On that note, do we have any other announcements? Anything that we want to say before we get into session today?
I don't want to die!
I don't think you're gonna die. Why would you die?
I have like almost no hit points left, even after the short rest.
What do you expect is going to happen in this interrogation?
Well, the guy's still he's still alive. We have to subdue him, so that'll be fun.
We were playing Dungeons and Dragons last time, right? I don't remember. It's been so long.
How does one Dungeons and/or Dragons?
What am
Jordan
dice?
and I are just having a good time,
roll.
so.
Hey, what do you know? Once again, Rye has taken somebody aside to go get food. Yeah, exactly.
I am like,
wait,
how
so
did I pay for it?
So I'm not sure what that means exactly. Does that make Howard a better person than you, or are you just less of a sucker?
I love getting to be on my couch.
Yeah, well, see, I didn't actually target it for me.
Pillow for it.
So target me for it. So I think it just means that I'm cooler than Halberd.
I guess she just likes you better, I guess.
You've always been.
Well, we can dive into that and find that out a little bit more in game. Shall we go ahead and do that?
Somebody needs to control this. I guess that's you, Lauren.
I will go ahead and corral us together. So we'll go ahead. We'll lower the bridge and raise the gate because it is time to enter the keep. When last we left our heroes, the 11th Hour had struggled against and survived an attack by a group of assassins. Kizator, still disguised as Halberd, wearing that guise, is confronted by the arriving guards, but after a brief set of questions, he transports himself away. We'll see if anything comes of that or not. The rest of the group is led away by Torek, a one-handed halfling, to rendezvous with the Edge in Whitebrand, led by a half-orc named Eska, who tries to hire the group to defeat the Underlord, an arcane abomination, who has indentured a fair number of people, including Eska's clan, here in Whitebrand. Meanwhile, Kizator and Rye head to the Tempest Shadow to meet the half-elven bard Fiskin and question him about the Underlord. They find him already 3 sheets to the wind, very drunk, and convincing him that they are fans and friends, do manage to get some valuable information before he passes out at the table. At this point, the rest of the group has been led by Eska and her people to an empty warehouse where they prepare to summon the assassin they've managed to capture out of Halberd's charm, and that is where we will go ahead and pick up the session for today.
Okay, so setting is we have room for interrogation, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And then we have, he's still in the charm, yes?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
haven't let him out.
Right, so we have room,
Y'all,
him in charm.
there's a room. There is a stairway off to the side. It goes around a corner and up to a room, sort of a balcony overlooking the second story of this warehouse. You would guess that would be where an overseer or a manager of some type would be able to survey what's happening in the warehouse. The floor itself is packed dirt. The walls are wooden and mostly intact. It's an older building. It's been weathered. there's obviously been some use to it before,
But
and
there's
it has
no like people-sized holes that one could ninja their way out through, though, right?
not on the first floor. The roof is a little rickety and a little patchy. There are two doors, one directly behind you that you came in, and one to your left. You have representatives of the Edge who are outside guarding both, and Eska is sort of manning the door right behind you. She did step inside and is staying right by the door, sort of guarding
Does
it.
Nightbane fit through the doors into this room, or no?
Nightbane squeezed in.
Okay. Doran, you still have a mask for this, right?
Do still have a weird mask.
You do still have the mask.
Given your innate ability to resist poisons, perhaps it may be a good idea if Val were to wear this so you can hold person. Perhaps if Val has that as we release the poison man, maybe Val could get him to stop moving, hold him, and then from there maybe we can subdue him.
Here's hoping.
All right.
If you don't mind letting Val wear your mask.
It's not mine anyway. I took it off of a man's face.
All right. This would also help protect
We can all
you.
share. We can all share germs from a mask, eh? Haha, topical.
You're the wrong mask.
What is your? How are you looking right now?
I'm bloody.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm almost fine now, so
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm ready. Oh, I also have one hit die left.
When
I have a couple hit die left.
You're doing okay. Do you have the
Yes.
same? We have the same hit points.
You also have a plethora of health potions, don't you?
I think so. I'm sure, probably. But we don't want to use those right now.
No, but it's better
If needed, yes.
I'd rather use my spells on the interrogation rather than healing on dumbass.
Yes, I do have a few health potions in the bag of holding. Yep, there are a few in here. Do you need one?
No, let's see those.
Okay. For the record, in case people need it, I have 5 regular health potions and 3 greater. In case we need those at some point.
That is fantastic.
good to know.
I have health potions.
Is there a chair nearby or anything we can, like a crate that we can use as a chair?
And manacles.
There are no chairs. There are a few crates that are in kind of rough condition. They're about waist high, so you could sit on them, but your feet probably wouldn't touch the floor. Doran might need a leg up to get onto one.
How
Eska. What's her name?
Eska?
Eska, right. Eska, do you happen to have manacles around here?
And she sort of glances down at her waist. I don't exactly carry those in my pockets. No.
Well, I wasn't sure if there was one here in this safe house.
You just asked for a room where you had
This is fine.
room to work and a bit of privacy.
This is perfectly fine. Just curious. We can make do. I have lots of rope. We just have to subdue individual. All right. Well, you are donning your mask. Yes.
how tall is this building?
About 25 feet tall from the ground where you're at to the roof.
Quick drop.
I mean that's a good start. I'm not opposed to it. Drop him 20 feet up and let him.
We're gonna pull a Dark Knight on this guy.
I'm not opposed to starting it off with that.
Okay.
Okay, yes, let's do that. So let's start it with you dropping him, and then you, as he's falling, cast whole person on him.
I got shot in the back.
Right, and also I'm not opposed to this guy going unconscious, and then we doing a quick heal, bringing him back, subduing
He's not
him.
going unconscious.
It's gonna be
I think
I
I'm
don't
such
know.
a dinner right now.
So You will release him 20 feet up in the air. As he's falling, Val, you will hold person him. And then hopefully this all works, and I can tie 50 feet of rope around him. And Dorian and myself can get him nice and secure.
Maybe a little
Yeah, I'm just on standby, ready to
disadvantage on a save throw.
first and physically, not magically.
Right. We have the physical hold person.
Yes, hold person.
Hold person. All right. Albert, do you want to start us off?
I'm gonna have. I guess bad. I'm gonna have Nightbane behind where I'm dropping him, just so when he comes out of the charm, Nightbane's right there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that almost feels sorry for this guy. Almost.
Not even a little bit.
Nope.
I said almost.
He is, as they say, a butthole.
3 hit points. I have no pity.
I'm not going to say anything because I was down to 2.
I was down. I was just down. I was
Sorry.
down, and then they tried to steal my body, and then I was down again.
3 hit points.
And then they
One roll.
tried to steal my body once more.
All right, let's do this.
Death and distraction and twists and turns. Let's do this thing. 20 feet up in the air, where there's nothing for him to grab onto or stop the fall, except the ground. I like the ground. That's a good friend.
And then when he gets about 10 feet up, I'm going to cast hold person.
Let's just
Okay.
see him. Why wait?
Let's
So that
see.
fear, he has a second to get that fear of, oh crap, I'm falling, and then hopefully give us some sort of advantage and or disadvantage on the saving throw.
But I'm more concerned about him being able to perhaps fly.
If he flies,
Yeah, right. I didn't want to say anything, in case he can magic his way around.
I'm going to.
All right, so what are y'all doing?
I'm going to action with a freezing arrow, and then I want to, if he shoots at somebody, I want to shoot him back, and I'm going to drop him.
Okay, keep in mind holding an action is only a combat move. We have not rolled initiative, so we're not in combat yet. But keep that in mind as your intention. All right, so you go ahead and you drop him.
I'd like
And when
to
he gets about 10 feet down, I'm going to cast hold person.
weapons out.
Right. You see this form appear out of the summoned out of the necklace. As they fall, make a. How do we want to handle this? Go ahead and make a dexterity check,
Ooh.
Val.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
good
just
at
to
those.
see how quick you are off the bat to respond to what's happening, because it does not take long to fall 20 feet. So if you get the spell off before the figure hits the ground.
22.
22. Okay. So we'll go ahead and say that as the figure is released from the necklace, you summon the assassin forth. You see his form solidify in front of you. That is is it a wisdom save for a
16.
whole person? Okay. That is an 8. So they are held.
Yes!
You can see as they were falling, they were prepared to fall in such a way that they did not take, or they were prepared to not take fall damage. They prepared their body to roll on the ground.
So much for that idea.
What he did was turn into a rock and
Essentially,
I'm gonna roll. Nope.
As their body, you can see them start to curl up and start to fall. And as their body hits the ground, or as they're falling through the air, there is a stiffness to it and an inability to control their physicality. So they will take half the fall damage that they would have taken otherwise. And you see before you, lying on the ground, what at first clothed entirely in black clothing, and now blends into the dim light so well you can tell it's actually formed of subtle shades of grays and blues, textured and patterned to blend into the shadows. Where before he'd been hooded and masked, covered essentially from head to toe. Over the time he's been in the charm, he's actually let down the hood and removed the mask, and you see before you a young adult human figure, maybe mid to late 20s. Dark hair has been twisted into 3 braids that keep the hair pinned close to the head and away from the face. And you see these dark eyes are watching your every move. You see twitching, sort of trying to keep track of what's happening around them. But what catches your eye most of all is that this figure is not actually a man. The woman before you is starting to glare from her position on the ground.
How long do we have for whole person? A minute?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so as soon as they hit the ground, I will grab them
Yeah, start tying them up.
and start using the 50 feet of rope that I have in the bag. Start
Yep.
pulling that out and start just tying this person repeatedly.
Okay.
Can I
Also, you
disarm the
said
person?
there was a cloak or something they had? Like some sort of fancy cloak?
They are cloaked, yes.
Cool. I'm gonna unclasp their cloak and throw that off.
Okay.
I want to start like pulling weapons and stuff off of her
Mhm,
person
that's what I just
because
said.
I don't like that idea.
Yeah.
Leaving them there.
So we're gonna disarm.
Make an investigation check.
Oh, I'm
Whoever,
terrible at that.
If Doran's taking the lead on that, Doran's going to go ahead and do that.
But Halberd
Okay,
said it
well.
too. Can he help?
I said it first.
Did Halberd
3
say
of y'all moving around one person at the same time. You can help, but it'll get tricksy because I'm not going to lend advantage to the roll. You'll each be doing your own roll, and if things get too crazy, we'll see what happens.
I'm not investigating. I was just gonna take the cloak off and then start tying. So if
Yeah,
they're doing
no,
stuff,
but-
I'll wait.
Okay.
I want
You
to
have
get
a
out of
minute.
their
Are
way.
you going to be investigating, or are you going to be tying them up?
Time up
Walk
first.
me through how this is going to go.
Time up.
If
Tying
I
up
make a
is more
suggestion,
important.
Take the rope.
Okay.
Make a leash.
I just wanted to grab any immediate weapons that I could see.
Okay, then we'll tie them up first. I'll run through and do a tie up.
Okay. Make a... You know what? No, we'll go ahead and we'll let that happen. I'm not going to make you have a check on that.
When you tie it up.
For me?
Nope. We're just saying that Soyix is managing to tie up the woman on the ground in front of you.
So I'm gonna tie her up, and then actually, once she's tied up, I'll still like keep a hand on her just to keep her from moving,
Okay.
but not, lurking or getting in the way. I'll let Halberd and Doran take care of whatever weapons or instruments she may have on her.
Okay.
Mhm.
We'll say it. Are you doing a thorough job, or are you doing a quick job of tying her
I
up?
have a minute, so I will do a
You have a
thorough
minute.
job.
Okay,
Right.
then that will take the whole minute to tie her up.
That's okay. That should take the place of the whole person, ideally.
Mhm.
Okay, so she is bound before you. You can see as the spell wears off, there's a relaxing to her body. And she says, well, that wasn't quite necessary, was it?
I beg to differ, madam.
I would say you're known for attacking us. I feel like that was quite necessary. Now, Halberd, Doran, if you do not mind relieving her of any and all instruments she may have on her person.
Now, that was just business. This is
Business.
a bit unprofessional, wouldn't you say?
Not at all.
No,
And I
Consider
want
more.
to pull weapons.
All right, go ahead and make an investigation check.
Investigation. Not bad at that. 19.
19. Good deal. You do pull 4 knives off of her person, 2 of them off of her belt and 1 from the sleeve of each arm. You pull a string of 3 or 4 vials, half of which are empty, but 2 which contain some viscous liquid. You're not quite certain what those are, but they don't look terribly good. And
There's
you
no
do
label.
pull off, no labels, no. And then you do pull off two sort of thinly blown glass bottles, look to be designed to shatter when thrown. Also unlabeled, filled with some sort of liquid, but it's very thin, and as it's agitated, you can see there's some sort of gas, smoke vapor also contained within the bottle.
I'm going to take those and stash them.
I would. Why don't we put them all? You can put them all aside. Perhaps we don't have to completely rob her of everything, depending on how this conversation goes.
This is just business.
Right. Exactly. We don't just want to be unknowingly robbing. So, let's put all
May I
those
have
to...
the name of those who have me at their mercy?
Oh, of course. Well, we are known as the 11th Hour, and you have attempted to waylay us to your misfortune.
I would say murder is a better term. And may we
Uh,
have the...
Yes, dear. I do kill people for money. That's the job.
that
Yes.
is-
Obviously, I failed on this particular encounter and do intend not to try again.
Good.
Not to try again?
Now,
to fail again.
perhaps we should have a conversation now that you are here in front of us.
What is your name?
My name is Kahir.
Is what?
Kahir.
Kahir.
Do I believe that?
Kahir.
That's a good question. Make an insight check.
22.
She does not seem to be lying about her name, no.
Did she lie about it being just business?
Well, we'll give that to you. She seems very aware of where the power is at in this situation. She's not going to antagonize you if she doesn't think that it will benefit her in some way.
Kahir, I think a conversation is due. As you said, this is just business, and as such, I am curious about what was in it for you at the means for this business transaction that you seem to have found yourself in.
I do believe I already said I kill people for money. That is what I do.
To what amount?
Oh, to take the contract, let me pull that up a second. I don't actually have the number in front of me. 3,000 gold for taking the contract, I believe, and then an additional 5,000 when it is complete.
Quite a hefty contract. What were the terms for your completion?
Oh, excuse me. 2,000 gold on acceptance, 8,000 upon proof of your death.
My death.
Oh, no, the group in general. You're the arbiter, right?
Oh, good. Good to be recognized.
Oh, yes. They want you alive.
Excellent. That's so wonderful. This they you speak of, do you happen to know who that might be?
Make a persuasion check.
Persuasion! Modified 20.
Okay. We did. You see as you're talking to her, where she's still sort of very tightly bound. And did y'all leave her lying on the floor, or is she leaned against a crate? How did y'all?
I think I'd probably put her up against a crate so I can actually look at her.
Okay.
You know, give her some means of. I wouldn't
Okay.
be lording over her. That's just not nice.
So as she's talking to you, there's a slight relaxing against the crate, preparing to sort of settle in for a conversation. We claimed the contract northeast of Dunsford. It was a half-elven woman who initially made contact with us and brought us the information. a brief description of each of the members of your party. Some are not here. I cannot speak for the capability of my fellows on this matter, but I am sorry for your loss.
So northeast of what was the name of that town?
Dunsford.
Dunsford, you got that.
Solyux, you make a history check.
Oh, something I'm so good at. No, it wasn't bad. 14.
14. You're familiar with Dunsford, actually. It is a fairly large trading village located almost directly east of Lake Tenebor. It's situated right in the land between the lakes, and it would have been probably the third or fourth stop on your journey north from leaving Dragonthrone. There's a fairly large Temple of Bahamut there.
If only we had a map.
We'll fix that. We will fix that.
Okay, good to know.
Before this goes any further, I'm going to cast Dispel Magic on the room.
Okay.
Good.
What's
my
the
axe
range
alone.
or the radius on Dispel Magic?
I forgot.
Is that area effect or is that a target?
Target.
Well, yes.
What was
DM's
that?
at, we'll see.
It's
Range is 120 feet. You choose one creature, object, or magical effect within range. Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target ends.
basically what I'm looking for is scrying.
Okay. So you end any scrying, or you're trying to end any scrying effect. What level are you casting the spell at?
That's a very good question. Let me look at my spell slots real quick. 3rd level.
3rd level. All right. Make an Arcana check.
Ooh, I'm actually good at those. That would be an 18.
18. You send out your Dispel Magic. You don't feel like you're focusing very hard on the divination, something foreign, trying to scry and see into this room. You don't feel anything in particular dispelled as you're trying to complete the spell. You're pretty sure from your knowledge that there is nothing in particular scrying on you at this moment.
DM, I have a question.
Yes.
Zone of Truth is a charisma save. Now, the effect that comes from that zone, is that a charm effect or no?
Let me look up the spell itself.
It's an honesty effect.
I don't think it's a charm effect.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, and then I saw it was a charisma save, and I thought, that's weird, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not charmed. It's just compelled to speak the truth, but it doesn't have
Yeah.
to speak.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay. Anyways, so
Okay.
It doesn't look like we're being spied on or scried on.
excellent. Well, since the room is ours, I believe you were telling me about you received your contract and where it came from and who you received it from. Do you happen to have a name for this person?
She did not give a name.
Oh, how unfortunate.
She, though.
Right, no, it's a female elf.
Half-elf.
Half-elf.
We met anybody. So,
No, you said they specifically wanted me, which I can't blame them. However, I must ask, what were your instructions to do once you had acquired me?
We were to deliver you subdued to a location to be determined.
You didn't know. How were they going to contact you and let you know where you should go?
We do have a means of communication if perchance the contract was completed.
Do you now? You wouldn't mind telling me what that means would be, would you?
Make a persuasion check.
Okay. Ooh, that one's not as good. That's only an 11.
11.
11!
She sort of looks you over, and she starts to fidget a little bit. Her eyes glance down to her belt. Suppose it does us no good at the moment to withhold it. Obviously, the contract is not going to be completed. The crystal in that pouch
On her belt.
on her belt.
Right. Well,
She gestures down to her left side, and you can take it if you want. Like I said, it does us no good.
I'll kneel down and flip open the pouch.
hold on. Wait a minute.
Well,
Now,
what if
I
it's
want
a
to.
trap?
How is she? Yeah, no, her adjustments, like her referencing. Do I believe that she's innocent and wanting to have someone grab that, or no?
She has not presented any particular threat to you. Do you believe her?
I'm not sure. Howard, would you mind
Based on
taking a look at the
I've-
pouch there and retrieving?
Just out of curiosity,
I've-
I have a
I've got
passive
my
insight
hand
of
out, by
18.
the way. Just
Mhm.
wrench.
Would I've gotten the feeling at any point that she's lying about any of this? Because just being an honest player, I
She
did
seems
say
to-
in the pouch.
Say it one more time.
Well, I would have stopped you before you got to it. I would not have.
Would you have though?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so here's how this goes. Val starts to move forward to grab the pouch. Celiac says, "No, wait just a moment."
Wait, yes, just a moment. Howard, would you mind inspecting this woman's pouch for us?
Val, to your question real quick.
Sorry, you froze up on my end.
To answer Val's question real quick. Okay, am I good?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Answering Val's question.
Yep.
As far as whether she seems honest or if she's lying about what she's saying, what she said does seem to be true. That with your passive insight, there's obviously information that she's not going into great detail about. There's a whole lot more information to her story. It just doesn't seem politic at this moment to share or necessary. She doesn't seem to be lying, but she's not saying everything.
I don't think there's any reason for us to not believe her at this point.
For sure. I just.
And a show of good trust might go a long way to getting information.
True, but I'm very cautious about those who are proficient in poisons and what that might mean.
Well,
Oh,
if
you're
they're-
wearing the mask,
Yeah,
aren't you? Oh,
uh-huh.
well, in that case, you are wearing the
Yeah.
mask. Yeah.
I figured you probably forgot that.
Yeah. But seeing how you have the mask on, why don't you retrieve if you wouldn't mind taking a look at it while I continue our conversation here.
And I'm going to root through the pouch.
All right. It's a very small pouch, about 2 inches long, or 2 inches square, we'll say. And there's a little flap that covers it with a latch sort of hooking it closed, made out of stiff, dark leather. You open it up, and there is a very thin and fragile crystal, about 1.5 inches long, couple of millimeters thick. Looks to be broken very easily. It is glowing with a very soft blue light, like neon blue almost.
Would I recognize what this is? Will we have had anything similar to it at the Sanctum?
Make an Arcana check. I'm not going to say you never would have recognized it, but we'll see.
This sounds like. Is this almost like a glass credit card looking kind of thing? Is that how thin and?
That's kind of the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, but think
Maybe
thinner.
not rectangle.
Not
Oh.
rectangular, or rectangular, but think more like a glass rob, like a stir stick or a straw,
Okay.
something,
Oh, okay.
something of that nature. So thin, prismatic,
Couple
but
sheets of paper.
fragile.
Rolled an 18 plus 6. So
24.
24.
You haven't seen them, but you've heard of them. That they come in sets, or can be enchanted in sets, and when one of them is broken, there is a sympathetic reaction in the other, and depending on how it's enchanted, it could also break, it could lose its glow, it could make some sort of sound. It's depends on how it's enchanted, but there's some reaction when one happens to one of them. It's mirrored in the other.
All right. Crap. What was this chick's name again?
Eska.
No, Eska's the half orc.
Kahir.
Kahir. Thank you.
Kahir.
Kahir, is there a special phrase or enchantment to activate this, or are they listening to us at the moment?
As far as I know, they can't listen. They told me to break this once I had completed the contract.
Who's they?
As I said, the half-elf. The
The
half-elf
half-elf who
woman.
gave it to you.
I understand that, but tell me about the half-elf. Who they were, an organization they were part of.
She was middle-aged, dark hair, fairly plain, looked to be of relatively middling income. We met outside a fairly middling inn, average wealth, it seemed. Her clothes were well made, but worn. No particular divine symbols that I noticed on her, nothing to completely stand out, very average in all.
How did you come to find this contract? Did they reach out to you?
As mercenaries, contracts are frequently, how shall I say, created, released. Those who know can always find a source of information, and it was brought to our attention that this was a apparently easy job that would pay very well.
Did she have any symbols on her?
Not that I noted.
I believe it.
Make an insight check.
Nope, I don't. Well, I don't believe anything. That's a nat 1.
No, you believe everything she says to be the complete and
I
honest
don't believe
truth.
myself.
No, her expression is very earnest. She seems to be sincere.
Well,
Val, you said your insight was perhaps, or passive insight was 18?
Yes, ma'am.
She's playing very sincerely. You can tell there's something not quite resonating with everything that she says. She's laying it on just a little too thick.
I'll kneel down next to her. I feel like there's more to this than you're letting on. And while I understand a mercenary's discretion, it does you no good to hide anything from us. Matter of fact, it might do you more good to be open and honest with us. What are you not saying? You're trying
Make a
just to-
persuasion check.
While this is going on, I'd like to just be kind of
See?
looking over those knives we took off of.
You know what?
screw you.
All right. They seem to be fairly well made.
Yeah.
There's
You let me know and then I talk to her.
make a perception check.
Oh, I'm good at those.
You
That's
tell me,
a
like, hey,
lie.
Solyax.
Yeah, no, that's not great.
It's not bad.
7.
It's not what it could have been.
7. Oh, well-made knives. The you can tell that the crafting that has gone into them is fairly high quality. You do actually tell that one of the 4 blades is of dwarven make. You can see there's with the pattern and how the material has been worked and folded, that at some point in time, she found this or bought this or obtained this from some perhaps dwarven source.
Cool. I just wanted to have something I was doing while they were doing the important.
Make a dexterity. Would this be a check? Yeah, just make it a dexterity check for me.
Okay.
We'll just see if you cut yourself on the blade or not as you're
They were
looking
on
it
the.
over.
I assumed I was just looking at them. I got a 15 plus.
Okay.
Whatever. I assumed they were like laid out, and I was just looking at them.
I mean, you pulled them off of her and then still sheathed however they were, but if I kind of thought you were looking them over and examining the workmanship
Sure.
to determine what you could have.
I rolled a 15, so I guess I didn't cut myself like a dum-dum.
Nope, you handled it actually quite well. You're very cautious
Yeah,
around
good
sharp
for me.
blades. Your
I've
history
got-
lends itself to
I've
that.
got
You're
my
used to
axe out,
handling a
by the
knife.
way.
Okay, good to know.
I've got my axe out, by the way, to be intimidating if I need to. So,
All right.
So rolled a natural 20
back to the important stuff.
with a -1 modifier. Makes me so angry.
There it is. You meet her eyes, and her dark eyes soften and seem to warm for just a moment. Like, maybe. She pauses and she looks at you as like, interesting. You're not the one I would have pegged as the skeptic of your group. You're not wrong, though. To be perfectly honest, there was, in fact, one symbol that she carried, although not for long. After we accepted the contract, I did have 2 of my group follow her, just to make sure everything was above board and kosher. And she had her own little meeting. She met with a human man, and he was dressed in a certain religious garb. There was a pendant with a star that he carried around his neck. Some metal I wasn't close enough, my people were not close enough to see. She seemed to deliver a report to him, and he accepted from her a wooden token, the same star, 5-pointed, from a pendant that she took off from her neck and returned to him, I suppose. Now, my group is considerably more active to the south, but even we know enough to recognize the symbol of the Brotherhood.
Not really.
Now, DM, remind me, how many of her people lived?
Of the assassins,
Yeah.
there were 9 including her, but 8 others that you saw attack you. And let me actually pull up my notes on this.
I think we only killed 2.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I was
4.
away.
4 made it away. You
Four?
killed.
Okay.
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 You killed 4 of them.
Okay. Good to know. In case we need that. All right. Well, We are quite familiar with the Brotherhood. And I think that does make answer some questions we had of ours as to why there was a contract. Now, curious, the other members of your group, did you have a rendezvous, a meetup where you were supposed to go once you had completed if you had gotten separated?
Yes.
And where would that location be?
That would be none of your business, I'm afraid.
You see, I was really hoping that we could keep this nice and informative. Tight lips won't solve anything here.
No, but you must understand there are some tools of the trade, some resources that I cannot just share with any obstacle that stands in our way.
Of course not. But you see, a trade doesn't do you much good if you can't exist to use it. And so, with that, I'm just concerned for the safety and well-being of those who are left of your party. We'd hate for some misfortune to fall on them, and, well, want to ensure that they are not being mistreated by the Brotherhood, knowing that their contract has failed.
We are not affiliated professionally with the Brotherhood, although we accepted a contract from them, apparently.
That kind of makes you affiliated professionally, seeing as how you took a professional business contract from them.
For the
You are
short
now
term
affiliates
only.
of theirs. I believe that is for them to decide, and seeing as how the contract's not yet fulfilled, you are still affiliated professionally with them.
I do believe, having failed the contract, one would argue that we are no longer bound to them.
And them not to you, no.
I
I'd
believe the
also argue they're
contract's
probably going to come kill you now.
right. It'd be a shame.
It would, and I do believe that is my lookout and not yours. Forgive me if I, and she glances down at the ropes binding her, if I do not trust the entirety of your good intentions.
Considering you tried to kill us, I mean, shouldn't that be a little even?
Consider this
As you
a
say.
acknowledgement of your skills.
You were quite formidable. I will give you that. You and your band caught us unawares, which is unfortunate. I am curious though, as to why you targeted my elf friend here first.
To be completely honest, we thought he might have the best chance of spotting us. Better to remove the one who may risk our element of surprise.
Yes. That didn't work out for you, did it, though?
Apparently not. Are you going to rub my nose in my failure all evening long?
It is quite satisfying, though, I must admit, so I'm not sure. Well, Albert, you seem to have gotten information that is useful. Some more knowledge.
What
Do
is
you
the
have
name of your
anything
group?
good to know?
What is the name of your ragtag group of assassins?
She sort of eyes you up and down, sort of evaluating if this is something that she actually wants to share. We are the Whispers.
Supposed to be ominous. That sounds rather boring, actually. The whispers. Ooh, we're quiet.
That made me laugh for other reasons, excuse me.
Truly, if you never noticed us, we are doing our job right. So you do understand.
No, I actually don't, because we noticed you quite well.
I mean, in their defense, not till after we'd been shot.
I'd been shot. Do you have anything else that might be useful? How many groups are under contract, do you know?
Unfortunately, I do not know. I do know that we were not the only group that was reached out to, and there may very well be others, but I'm not aware of any that have accepted the contract.
And how many are in your Whispers group?
Oh, there were 9 of us. As I believe you did see.
But you said you operate much more further south, so a bigger organization.
Say that one more time, Jonathan.
So a bigger organization, or just the 9 of you in total?
Oh, there were 9 in my group.
But the Whispers are a larger group as a whole. And you operate further south, but what drew you north? Just the promise of gold?
Of course. We all need gold from now and then, from time to time.
Is there not gold in the south?
There is. However, why not strike out?
Speaking of
Claim
gold, how
some
are we getting
new
find anyone here?
opportunities.
I've not searched her body yet,
Should we do that?
once she's dead.
Well,
On the
I knock all my
Since
stuff
it-
over.
Do Ryan
This
and I
one
come
may
back
be
and
more
influence this, or
useful.
are we just eating cheesecake the whole time?
alive and dead.
No, y'all, about this point, y'all
let's
are
go over
having
here
your
and
3rd or 4th
deliberate.
drink with Fiskin.
Cool.
No, we don't have to.
I know, but let's go over here and wait there for a minute. We're gonna step sort of away. So Howard can keep an eye on her to make sure she's not like fidgeting and moving and whatnot. But
Bang. God.
we're going to step away and have a little conversation so she doesn't hear what we're deliberating.
Okay.
Do you want me to go too, or do you want me to watch?
Oh,
'Cause
Yes.
get involved, please. All right, so it was business for sure.
what you said.
Do we still want to kill her?
Want to and need to are 2 entirely different things.
This is true.
Want to, I have a feeling Halbert's got the reason to want to.
have no
However,
doubt about that.
And I don't.
what was that, Garrett?
If we
You're
need
from-
to, but hey,
You were cutting out
Hello?
of it.
Say stuff.
I wasn't even saying full sentence. Hello, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yep, okay.
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 So, while the desire may be there to send her to the next life, my suggestion is that we may use her instead and her group. They're ones who have connections to the Brotherhood and who know how to contact them.
How do you propose that we use her? I'm not sure she's willing to be used.
I
What
would
if we-
say be one of our more persuasive people, eyeing you. Perhaps convince her to take a payment to bring us information about Brotherhood's movements.
Doran, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I think what he said, because he was very quiet and I couldn't hear him through the speaker, but maybe we could pay them to help us.
And
Not that we have a lot of money, but, you know.
how are you going to outmatch 10,000 gold?
I don't know. It was the thought, man. Also, you're not
for
over
them,
here. You're
the
watching
contract
hard.
is
No, I'm with you.
It's watching from a distance.
Oh, never mind.
unfortunately their group at least has realized that taking us even by surprise is no longer an option. However, business is business. And if she's willing to take less money in exchange for her life, we can pay her to work for us.
We really don't have that much. That would be of value to a mercenary.
I mean, getting to live is pretty good, though.
Yeah.
There is that, and I can find her anywhere on the continent.
I would say, now, Howard, obviously, if you have a personal vendetta against this woman, then that's all on you. However, for me personally, I believe we've gotten some decent information. We keep her weapons.
I want that dwarven dagger anyway.
Absolutely. You know, we don't want her to be able to harm us on her way out. But tell her that we're letting her go by the kindness of our heart. And then, if needed, you can get a hold of her in case we ever need that favor we paid.
I think having her owe us is not a terrible idea.
Do you disagree, Howard?
Business is business, family is family, and you don't cross the two. She made business into my family. I have no problem making sure she will never do such a thing again. You cannot trust someone who is willing to sell their soul for money to kill someone else. And one thing she does not understand is killing is personal. It is always personal.
I don't
And I have
disagree.
no problem making that personal to her as well.
I have no further questions nor qualms with her. However, Howard, if you still feel the need to pursue this, I won't stand in your way.
And as far as this being personal, we've already made it personal. We ended 4 of her comrades' lives.
Business. Right.
As you just said, killing is personal. We've made it personal already.
She views that as business, though.
Well, we don't know. We haven't told her that yet.
Good point. I think I'll go inform her of that.
I would say let's see how she reacts to said information.
Right. And then go from there.
If we do need to end her life,
You can speak with her later, yes?
yes.
Wonderful. All right.
It would have to be tomorrow, but yes.
Right. Lauren,
Yes.
I will go back over to her.
Real quick, just for my clarification, how far away were y'all and how quietly were you talking?
It was not a loud conversation.
Yeah, and I don't know.
We're talking loud so that we can be heard.
Yeah, we were
I know
intentionally
y'all are, but your characters.
intentionally moving away so she couldn't hear us. So, however far the room would permit, we weren't going to leave the room, but wherever she's positioned, we would have gone as far away, like into the corner as possible, and then have Nightbane guard with halberd standing so he could look at her. But we were, huddled, communicating, essentially.
Remembering also that the Edge had people on all exits, etc.
Right,
So
right.
we would have felt pretty comfortable moving away.
But I wouldn't keep at least a decent eye on her so she wouldn't try to get out of her
Yeah.
box. So that was more. So however far away, like if we could get 20 to 30 feet away, that's, and then, essentially speaking in hushed tones in an attempt for her not to hear what we were saying.
Right.
How well she rolled on her perception check, we don't know, but that was the intent.
Okay. So you approach her.
Yes. Well, and actually, as I do, is there anything, does she seem in the same position that she was when I left? She moved?
Make a perception check.
Nightbane's just been
You're
batting
looking her
like
over.
a ball yarn.
Up and down.
Oh, that actually
Trying
isn't
to
bad.
evaluate.
Wow. Perception.
That's a modified 20.
Nice.
I see so.
She just seemed slightly shifted. Like she had tried to get a little bit more comfortable as much as she can with the rebs permitting her, and then just settled.
Okay, so nothing like out of the ordinary, like she wasn't like, the ropes aren't loose or anything like that, right?
Not that you noticed.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm curious, the members of your group, you said there were 8 others besides yourself, yes?
Indeed.
What were their names?
She sort of looks at you. I don't see why that is relevant to our conversation here.
Well, I'm curious what to know to put on their tombstones.
There's a stiffening as
You don't mind, this
she...
is just business, you see. As you say, death is business.
It is a risk we'll take.
What is her response? What am I insight check? How does she respond to this information?
Make an insight check.
Okay. 15.
15. No, you know, she's not even hiding this. This is unwelcome news to her that her group of people, the people she has traveled with, whatever, there's a sort of almost no denial right up front. And as she looks at your face and sees sort of the how to handle this, because they're not all dead, but you're implicating as though they are. Go ahead and roll me a deception check real quick, just to see how much of this she believes.
That's not something I'm supposed to do. Deception. I'm not very good at that.
15.
15, that's okay. She is not particularly perceptive at this moment. So as she reads the truth of this on your face, there's a sort of a shock that comes over her, and as this this takes her aback, you can see there's a slight slackening to the ropes where she had created space and done something, you're not quite sure what, where she had been holding them with her body tense to keep the appearances that they were still tight. And as you're telling her this, there's this slackening, this relaxing of them, where you can see there's a little bit of give in some of them. She is... This is not welcome news to her. And it's obviously, although she puts a good front on it, those she calls killing people her business, having her entire group be wiped out is not just business to her. This is not good.
Now, you mentioned before how there seems to be members of our party not present. And when you said such things, you seem to mention it with light heart and a faux sense of sadness on our part. I'll have you know that those members who are not present are merely not here because they're dealing in other business, but are fine. I'll also have you know that your fate is not in my hands. But do you believe that killing is personal or business?
She just looks up at you. If you're going to kill me, have done with it and play no more games.
I told you I won't kill you. But I'm curious as your answer.
I have no answer for you. Kill me and be done, or let me be.
And which would you prefer? To die here or to live?
Sir, I am at your power. My desires matter not.
If they didn't matter, I wouldn't ask.
Make a persuasion check. Or deception. If
Persuasion.
whether whether
Definitely
you're- okay.
persuasion.
Holy man.
25.
okay.
Deceiving is against my tenets. I'm not supposed to do that.
Don't think you're supposed to do
From where
that.
she is, on the ground, positioned against the crate, she just looks up at you. Such a tragedy has not befallen my family in generations. If I am to go and return, the last survivor of my group, I may as well not return.
New party member.
And you see her. She opens up her mouth as though she's going to say something else. And she bites down on something hidden back in her cheek or between her teeth or something.
I would like to
You see-
open up her face and just rip it out, like saliva and everything.
She has already bit down on it.
Mhm.
As you try and pull whatever is in out of her mouth, she does resist you. Go ahead and make a grapple check. So that would be acrobatics or athletics for you.
It sucks.
And acrobatics is better for her. That's going to be a dirty 20.
For fighting, you get to choose athletics or acrobatics.
Yes,
Gotcha.
So what did you roll? For athletics?
I rolled a 10.
10. So she resists you as you're trying to reach in and as you're trying to grab. She manages with enough of the slackness that she's produced in the ropes to turn and have her head twisted away.
As she
Going
wait, hold on.
to
I would
As
like
she
to
is-
grab her face and turn it to me and say, in your death, I would have you know that you are not the sole surviving member of your party. That was a misjudgment on your part.
As her body is quaking and shaking in your hands, and foaming saliva and blood is starting to drip from her mouth, her eyes meet yours, and there's a spark of something within them.
The 4 other members of your party will wait for you on the other side.
Her body shakes
quick.
over the next couple of moments.
I just making sure. She started the foamy mouth thing, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I can do this. Crap. Protection from poison. 2nd level.
Ooh. Okay, so the way I'm playing this is that each of y'all taking your turn to try and do something with her is essentially your 6 seconds to try something. So she has.
Yes, I'm prepared.
Let me look up the spell real quick.
I could stop it right here. But you're alive.
Dadgummit.
Yeah, 5 points of lay on hands can fix poison. Oh, you're poisoned? 5 points of lay on hands.
Oh,
But I can't do that. So I'm just gonna let
Darling,
it
I found the fish to be delightful.
I thought that the summer oil was quite pleasing to the palate and compliment to the fish.
I thought so as well.
Did you just say compliments to the fish?
No, in compliments to the fish. The ale complimented the fish.
Okay.
Over the ether, you hear complimentary.
Okay, so Celiax, as
Yes.
Val casts the spell, this sort of twitching, unconscious body in your arms goes still, remains unconscious, loosely bound now. You can see from where she had slumped over, a few of the ropes in the back had been sort of filed away with some sharp implement. You can see now there is a very small blade concealed within a ring upon her hand.
Of course.
Sorry, so is she alive still or
She
no?
is unconscious,
But she is alive.
but she is alive. Hovering right at 0 hit points.
Stable or no?
You don't know.
Well, as a cleric, don't waste it. Don't waste your spell.
Yeah.
As a cleric, would I know?
Make a medicine check.
You can spare the dying, right?
I gotta see what I have.
14.
14. You know that you have neutralized the poison. You see no other damage, nothing that would be leading her closer to death at this point.
Yeah, okay. I'll cast Spare the Dying just in case. Use my little cantrip.
Okay.
So, recognizing that, I will say, all right, well,
I'll take the ring.
now that she's unconscious, let's actually do a thorough check and make sure this doesn't happen again. And perhaps have more of a conversation as to what to do with her. So, Howard, if you don't mind doing a thorough investigation,
If you
would
don't
you want
mind.
to aid in that?
Yeah, I'll help out. I have good investigation skills.
I'll just sort of
All right.
like hold on to her
Then
while
as
she's
you
just laying there.
do you
while
leave
they-
her tied up, her unconscious form?
No, that's entire.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna untie her so they can actually get
Okay.
really in there and check everything.
Doran's gone to the door where what's her face
As a matter of
was.
fact, I'd
Eska?
prefer.
Yes.
This is going to sound rude, but let's strip her down and make sure she's got nothing else hidden on her.
Also, I don't know if I can do this today. Can you? Actually, I can. Detect magic.
Okay. You
I didn't have that one prepared. I have detect poison, but not detect magic.
okay. You do find that the cloak that she was wearing in this room is magical. There is another dagger hidden on a person that is magical. That seems to be all the magic that she has prepared. There's slight magical tint to the potions that you had pulled off of her earlier. But apart from that, there doesn't seem to be anything else.
I'm going to grab
inherently-
the cloak and the dagger for sure, since I can see them.
Cloak and dagger.
Right, yeah. I'm going to grab both of those and put them in the bag.
Okay.
And then that's the only magical things I see.
Okay.
Have fun with the rest.
We'll go through the rest of her garments, make sure she's got nothing hidden, take off all jewelry.
There is a fair amount of jewelry that she does actually wear, mostly concealed on her person.
Yeah, that's going away.
Yeah, I would just make a pile of
Yeah, that's
everything
exactly
else.
right.
If it's non-magical, we're going to make a pile of it.
I want her mask.
Yeah, that's actually a good call.
Yeah, actually.
Okay. You go ahead and pull the mask off of where it had been on her belt. I'm making notes here. The rest of her clothing is well made and designed specifically to be stealthy. You strip her down. There doesn't seem to be there are two more concealed blades that are not magical in nature, just mundane. And make a as you complete this, make a perception check.
Me or Jonathan or both?
Whoever is stripping her down. I'm not having you roll investigation for this just because you're pulling everything.
3. No, it's
Oh, that one. Okay.
that's 26.
26.
Lauren, to be clear,
So-
like I stepped outside.
Doran's
Such a
not
gentleman,
moving.
Doran.
Yeah, like
Stepping outside. Okay.
I did not catch that. Y'all froze up for a little bit. What was it?
The dice roll.
I was saying that like when I went to go leave to the door, like I went like outside. I left the room completely.
Okay. Eska is still inside by the door. Torek is
Oh,
outside.
I mean, like, I
and...
just stepped just outside the door.
Okay. Torek is outside with another halfling at this door where you came out, and you know there's another team around the other side.
Okay.
Did you get my dice roll?
I did not.
26.
26. Yeah, you do find there is what looks to be a patch of false skin. It very closely matches her skin tone, and you just see the edge of it behind her knee, and it contains a small capsule of some kind. It's sort of like a little boba, you know, the little jelly-filled that you have in the tea.
Yeah.
Unconscious people don't want tea.
Also, do we find any money on her at all?
You do not.
I didn't think
No, that's
so.
in her other
That's
kangaroo
interesting.
house, hidden elsewhere.
Intriguing.
I know, but I won't.
I know, no, I want money. Trust me.
Big skin
But that's
pockets
intriguing.
on the body. Why not?
Right, so once I see that they are done, I will tie her back up.
Okay.
We'll put her clothes back on.
Yes. Once their thorough investigation is done, we'll tie her back up and
Can you call for a cloak? I don't trust her. And I don't trust her clothes.
Call for a cloak.
you don't want to put her back in her own clothing.
No. Trust is at a -10.
That's fair.
Yeah, -10.
Well, we did a pretty thorough investigation.
I don't care. We found a poison capsule behind a fake skin pouch in the knee. We've not heard anything about the clothes. I don't trust clothes.
Skin
Yeah,
pockets.
she said the magic
Weirdest
was all
thing.
Yeah.
on the
The
clothes.
clothes were nicely made, she said, but
Yeah, that was it.
Concealing 2 more daggers. The jewelry also, but you're not finding any other.
I think we can put her back in her clothing. Seems like we're all right.
Eska steps forward. If you have need of other clothing, here, and she starts pulling off her own cloak.
My compatriots are fine with this.
We appreciate that, Eska, but I think her clothes should be fine.
I'm curious. Do you think Bahamut would put a bounty on the Brotherhood's head? Send her on her way with her assassin band, and I don't know, maybe for every head they turn in from the Brotherhood, a certain amount of gold from Church of Bahamut.
It's difficult because the complication there lies in of the Church of Bahamut is to wage war,
Mm-hmm.
but the use of mercenaries does not seem
It's all your fault.
appropriate.
All I know is it's the Brotherhood who led to her compatriots getting killed, so
Right. And so turning and using her, if she were to, of her own fruition, decide to go after the Brotherhood, then that is her call. But for the church to hire mercenaries, that doesn't make them any better than the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood hired these people to target a member of the Church of Bahamut, and for the Church of Bahamut to turn and hire these mercenaries to target the Brotherhood, who's better then?
Well, valid point.
Soldiers are good. The church has soldiers and individuals for the purpose of taking out and destroying the followers of Tiamat. It's best that we use those who are devout and choose that life instead of our bought into it.
I'd encourage you to hurry up a little bit.
Right.
I think Doran starts to come back into the door
I'm
now.
tired of getting killed by these guys.
Just looks back in and starts slowly walking back.
I think at this point, her trust in our word is going to be as minimal as ours is in hers. It
True.
might be.
I also feel like at this point we can't kill her. You don't feel this is work to save her. That seems wrong.
That I would agree. I think it best to try to persuade her to either take her broken family and run, or to let her know that she owes us.
Would you all do me the kindness of... I say we should pack up and leave here. Take her stuff, leave her with her clothing, and once you all leave, I will inform her of this and send her on her way. I fear that everyone here, she might feel threatened, which if we want her in our debt, I'm not sure her feeling threatened would be the best place for her to be at.
I agree. I think that's as wise, but you were the last to lie to her. I don't think leaving you here would be...
Oh, you're right.
I can send her a message now that I've met her. We can leave.
I will walk her out.
That's fair. I will pick up everything that she had, all the potions, the fancy rings.
I said I put those in my pouch.
Oh, you already have all
Yeah,
those?
Halbert's already
Okay,
gotten
okay.
those.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that
you
they
can
weren't
start
there.
getting handsy, Mike, but
Okay, just want to make sure they weren't there. So you have all that. Okay.
Now, what about all the jewelry and stuff? Did you...
Jewels? Like the jewelry?
I don't care too much for that.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'll
Yeah.
pick up.
Everything that Halbert didn't pick up, you
Yeah,
pick up.
so whatever.
Potions and poisons and all that I took. from
Right,
her
do you have
first.
like her fancy ring, that kind of stuff?
No, you can
You
take
said you
off.
did grab that.
Secondary.
Okay, yeah, I don't care really about the potions. He can have all that. I'm just everything else that we took off of her. So her jewelry, whatever else, I'm gonna grab all that. What's the nicest looking ring that she has? Or like piece of jewelry, I should say.
Don't choose to cut through stuff.
There are a number of fairly valuable pieces of jewelry, finely worked metal, with various small crystals embedded in them.
I'm gonna find the nicest one, like the best one, and then I'm going to go to Halberd and say, Halberd, if you deem it best, return this to her as a token of good faith. She can use this for whatever, but the rest of it we're going to keep as payment for damages done. And so all the rest of whatever else is there, I'm just putting down Kahir's stuff. We can sort through what that is later. I put down Kahir's cloak and dagger, and I'm writing down Kahir's stuff.
Okay.
So, and then we'll gather everything else up. Do you want Nightbane in here with you, or would you like me to take him with us?
You can come with me.
Okay. We will take Edge and everybody and just vacate. So we don't want her to feel like she's being followed or watched or anything. We will vacate the area if the Edge will, if they were willing to leave.
Most of them go with you. Eska does not roll very well on her stealth to step away from you, but you do notice her hanging back and watching out of the doorway. She notices you watching.
The important thing here is we want her to not feel like she's being watched. If your people don't want to leave, that's fine. I just ask that they hide themselves very well.
You'll forgive me, but I do wish to see how this turns out.
Oh,
And
I have no
Eska
problem with that.
sort
Just,
of steps around the corner and fades into the shadow. Torque comes over, and the rest of our group will go with you. And shall we lead you to your quarters here in the city? Or had you wanted to reunite with your other friends?
did y'all discuss that at all when I wasn't here?
So they were going to be heading towards us.
Right. Perhaps if we... Is there a... Because they're essentially in a warehouse right now, right?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, so...
By about this time, Kazator and Rai should have left the Tempest Shadow and are headed y'all's way.
Is there a place... I know that you had sent a member to retrieve the other members of our party. Is there a place where we can meet in the middle, as it were, just to vacate this area?
We should be able to do that, aye?
Then let's go there, and then Val can contact Halberd and let him know where to meet us.
As you will.
Thank you so much.
So someone staying behind to talk to her. I'm just me trying to understand what we're actually doing.
Yeah, Eska stayed behind to watch Halberd interact with Kahir.
Before I leave, I want to go up to Halberd. Maybe if we're letting her go like this, maybe perhaps convincing her an honest trade rather than something so violent. Because she looks like a young person, right?
Mid to late 20s for human standard, yeah.
Yeah. She's got plenty of life left. Maybe convince her an honest trade. And then I hand him back the dwarven knife that she had. Craftsmanship is, we're a rewarding thing in and of itself. And then I start following the rest of them.
Did you grab all the rest of his daggers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Make sure those are counted for. Dagger. Shit, so many. All right, so we will leave and meet up with Kasator and Rai while Halberd awakens our sleeping friend. I took the rope back too. She's not bound anymore.
What
Halberd
time
should be
is
able
it?
to handle some woman at one hit point.
What time is it?
It is late in the evening. The sun has gone down. It is dark outside, probably 10 p.m., 10:30, 11, somewhere in that range.
Cool. I'll put Nightbane back in the charm.
Okay.
Get him out of there. Everyone's clear. And I will do level 1 Cure Wounds.
I hope there's nothing left in the charm for Nightbane.
Yeah.
Well, good point. I already said it though.
Guess we'll find
Okay.
out.
Excuse me.
We're gonna find out.
Cure Wounds.
Okay, Nightbane's worth some time, so give it back.
That's gonna be a 2 plus 3, so 5 points.
5 points.
That's actually better that you roll low on that one.
No, it's just I'm gonna use a spell. I want a big number.
She's also on the list, so.
So you reach out and you touch her and you cast Cure Wounds, and you feel the spell take effect, but she doesn't give a sign of waking up. Her breathing stays relaxed, her body stays limp, her eyes are closed.
I'm just gonna sit down for a little bit.
Go ahead. a stealth check for me.
She's definitely playing dead.
Yeah.
She's playing possum real hard right now.
He's the eye.
Yeah, right.
23.
All right.
Sneaky.
5 minutes pass. 10 minutes pass. About 15 minutes later, everything's quiet. You finally see her open her eyes,
Hello there.
take a brief look around. You speak, and her eyes lock onto you. There's a sort of a reluctance to her body language as she sits up and turns to face you. As she moves, she sort of evaluates and realizes how much is gone, how much has changed. Settles herself. Just looks at you.
For the record, I wanted to kill you.
Why didn't you let me die?
Because family is worth being able to go back to. You said that killing wasn't personal. You and I, we've seen a lot. Killing is personal. Your attack, it was personal. You got people to go back to. And I'm not going to begrudge or withhold you from that. But just beware who you take a contract from. I know it's business, but there's always something more behind just business. Brotherhood set you up. And I would have liked to have put you 6 feet under. Because you attacked what little family I've got left. So go back to your family. And be real careful. You have too much talent to waste yourself on war and death and destruction.
War and death and destruction are all I know.
Yeah, you're looking at a wasted man there. Don't follow this path. You got skills, you've got abilities, put them to work to help people. Invest in something good where you know beyond a shadow of a doubt you're doing something right. Build something, make something. Don't put your family at risk if possible. But don't come after my family again either.
Make a persuasion check.
19 plus 1. 25, 20.
I can ensure that no member of my family will come after yours. And that is all I can promise. But of that, you have my word.
Does your family have a son so that we can do our best to make sure we won't needlessly go after someone of your family?
She looks at you. And then nods. You look the type to have some familiarity with less than legal folk. You're familiar with some of the signs, some of the codes of our ways.
I'm going to assume that's a yes, based on my background.
Yes, you would have some familiarity with this. You get the idea she's probably referring to Thieves' Cant, some of the codes and the signs and the whistles and language hidden within other language. So you are familiar with that, yes.
Good.
I really shouldn't be showing you this. And she makes a movement with her hands where her fingers are crossed and it's a twisting motion, almost imitating stabbing someone. And then she takes that same motion those in the know, my family, we use that to identify one to another. She looks at you very seriously. If you use that in any but the direst of circumstances, you truly will have killed me.
I don't think you need to worry about that, Miss Kahir. It's late, and you need to go meet up with your family. Go in safety, and we don't bear any ill will towards you.
She inclines her head. Not quite a bow, but definitely a nod of acceptance and recognition.
When you pull out the ring and hand it to her.
She takes it and slides it back on her hand.
And I'm going to pull out the dwarven dagger. I'm going to hand that to her and say, the quality of this blade is matched by the qualities of the skills that you have. But I want you to look at that and I want you to remember your skills can be put to better use to build something up and make something that can grow and be something good, or it can be used to destroy more and more in the same way that this dagger can. Be safe on the road. And I'm going to step back into the shadows.
Okay. She takes the dagger and does not watch you go. She sort of averts her eyes as she sheathes the dagger and puts it away. And then she turns. She walks away to the entrance farther away from where you're at.
I will go meet up with, what was the lady who stayed?
Eska,
Eska.
make a perception check.
26.
You see where Eska has very cleverly hidden herself in the shadows, tucked just inside the doorway. She's rolled a 25 for herself. She sees you approach and sees your eyes sort of lock onto her, and she steps out of her hiding, nods. You handled that a bit differently than I'd expected. Completely honest, I was certain you were going to kill her.
Be completely honest, I wanted to. Blood wars, though. Despite my anger in the moment, sometimes cooler heads and surrounding myself with cooler heads allows wisdom to prevail. And now I have a family who will not seek to kill me. I don't know how that works, I guess. That conversation, madam, that stays here.
As you will. So you'll head out into the night to find where the group has met up with Kizator and Rai at this point, being led by their own member of the Edge to rendezvous with Torek and the others.
Hey, Sator. Oh, wonderful to see you, Miss Rai. I assume your endeavors were beneficial?
Sounds unpleasant.
Yes, we got, I think, much beneficial information, and Miss Rai and I are engaged, apparently.
Oh, well.
Yes.
I can't say I'm surprised, to be honest. I assumed as much would happen at some point.
Yes, soon we will be Mr. and Mrs. Rai Excellence.
Yes, darling, yes.
That seems fitting. That does seem fitting. Now, when is the happy day?
Sometime far off in the future, I would presume.
In all case, I must say, or perhaps Rai, I'm not sure. I'm noticing the lack of a ring, so one of you two failed the others quite miserably.
I would expect something like
Given
that
that
from
you
a religious man.
I mean, you, K-Store, come from a nice family, and, well, with a name like Excellence, I can only assume that you come from a nice family as well. I feel like both your families would be ashamed at how quickly and how terribly this entire thing has gone down.
Darling, I'm not certain what you're talking about. It sounds like you're following some very strict rules of protocol that I don't necessarily subscribe to.
Well, I suppose if you both are happy in this union, then who am I? But do let me know when the ceremony is supposed to be, because I'd be more than happy to perform it for you.
Darling, I don't know that we're going to have a seat at that particular wedding. We'll have to take a look at the guest list.
Well, very well, but I can perform such ceremonies, and as a note, it will give you a boost to your AC for a week when that happens.
Look at Ryan.
I merely require 25 gold from you as a component for the spell.
Oh, really, darling? What type of honeymoon are you expecting us to have?
Halberd usually takes care of her bills, but we'll take care of that when the time comes.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
then do let me know. I'll be more than happy to officiate that.
I'll look at Ryan and say, I forget that he doesn't process sarcasm so well.
No, darling,
However,
he
so
doesn't.
yes, we did find out some very pertinent information as to the Underlord, and hopefully some things that will be able to get us to him a bit more safely.
Also, are we killing him now?
Pardon?
What?
I don't think they were.
Oh,
they were
right. You weren't there for that. By the way, we were given a contract on him.
That is intriguing.
Yes.
No.
I don't remember what. Yes, I don't remember what the terms for that were. But
essentially, the Edge has asked us to liberate by any means necessary their clansmen who happen to have been taken captive by the Underlord.
I was asked not to participate in such a foolish task, so I'm not certain what we're talking about, darling.
Is that is that who showed up at the end of the fight?
Yes.
Yes.
That's your escort. Yes.
Ah.
When we just finished having a conversation with the poisoner. Her name was Kahir. And after she was hired by the Brotherhood. She was not a part of them. And
The individual inside the pendant of halberds.
yes. So we decided that she was.
If I'm not mistaken, during the fight, she was not the poisoner, but the arcane user. Am I mistaken? Lauren? She wasn't the poison expert, was she?
No, she was a poison expert. She was the one who had fired the initial crossbow bolt at Halberd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way, she
Was there a leader on the ground that was casting spells? Wasn't there a leader on the ground that was casting spells?
No. There were 4 of the assassins that were in the crowd, fading in and out of the press of people who were attacking with more melee weapons. And there were 5, including Kahir, who were up on the rooftops staying more ranged.
Okay, cool. I don't know where I got that. Sweet. So,
So we just finished the
interrogated
conversation. She.
Am I here now?
Sure, Halberd. We just left.
Sure, we'll say you're go ahead and coming up.
I'm just.
We left Halberd to. She tried to kill herself. We stopped that from happening because we weren't done talking with her. After a thorough search, because this woman had knives, so many.
Everywhere.
I believe the final count was 6 knives hidden upon her body, and then 1 little one in a ring. And I pull out the ring, and this ring, there's a little knife in here. It's pretty neat. But through a conversation that happened, and I'll relay what happened to them in the conversation. I'll tell them everything.
Okay.
How everything?
I'll inform you what happened. Not hiding anything.
When do you start? Do you start with your talk with Eska from when you were led to the edge, or do you start with your talk with Kahir?
Just the conversation with Kahir and all of that happened. I don't really know what happened with Eska. So just what went down with Kahir. And all
The
of
further you get into it, hashtag judging you is all across Rye's face.
Well, we went through all of this, and Halberd should be coming along shortly. We left him to see her off. Rye, you would have handled things differently.
I mean, darling, I knew your group to be boorish and a little violent. I hadn't expected cruel to be among the adjectives for it in this villainy, but it is what it is. And yes, I would have handled it differently, but I was not there. Alas, I was having better conversation elsewhere.
I would hope you would exempt me from those expletives, darling.
Yes, darling. Better conversation elsewhere.
Cruel, boorish, I can see that, but cruel, I'm not sure how we might fit into that.
So you believe Bahamut would be proud of you for threatening her with the death of her whole troop?
I wouldn't say we necessarily were threatening her, just informing her of what happened.
Yes, darling. That is how you like to work. You like to find the semantics of the matter and avoid the fact that, yes, indeed, you were cruel. Because you did not inform her of the death of her companions just to inform her. You did it to get something from her. And it was cruel, darling.
I believe those can be one and the same. You can inform and yet also retrieve information in the same manner. This was not a friendly conversation with someone of kind-hearted intentions. This was and had been known to be an interrogation. Information was needed, and how the information came about is, well, sometimes I suppose cruelty is necessary for the gathering of information against those who were hostile against you.
Well, it would explain how your particular order of Bahamut was able to conquer this world.
again, cruelty can be useful in its turn. So if I am cruel, then I guess that is how it is. But for order and information, sometimes I suppose the ends can justify the means.
That is how the people who write history count it. Yes, darling.
For alignment.
Well then, if you're done judging the actions of those around you, perhaps it would be good for us to retire for the evening, as we had an exhausting day. I'm not sure how your day was, seeing as how you managed to miss out on the battle, but for those of us who were involved in it, this has been an exhausting day. And so I think sleep would be nice for all of us, and then we can further discuss what we should do about our current quarry, as it is, in the morning.
Yes, darling, you can discuss as much as you will. I did not come to this planet to kill a beholder.
None of us came here to kill a beholder, but sometimes the plan changes along the way. Flexibility is a necessity in this line of work.
I believe that Miss Rye is insinuating that her plans have not changed.
Oh, well aware of what Miss Rye is insinuating, but thank you, Quesator, for your input.
I say that to say we just need to keep in mind as we plan this endeavor to go meet the Underlord, if he is a beholder, which seems to be the case. We need to do so without counting on Miss Excellent's help.
Right.
I would be happy to help unless there's death involved, and of that I have no interest.
Miss Excellence is merely here for the acquiring of objects.
Interesting. Whoever she may in the process.
Absolutely, Albert. Glad you could come in and chime that in, yes.
I was
Well,
right.
Miss Rye may not think herself as cruel. She has no qualms in using those around her to further her means.
Everyone has their position and times.
Oh, yes.
Whereabouts
Yes.
are we?
1,421 gold is much the same as killing a beholder and threatening the life of a woman. Yes, it's much the same, darling.
Lauren, whereabouts are we?
Y'all are in the streets, tucked a little ways off the main road, but not exactly in a private location.
Yeah.
There are a number of the members of the Edge who are around you, including Eska and Torek, who are not paying attention
Looking
to
uncomfortable.
this conversation.
Yeah, 100% they're like, oh, jeez.
Well, assuming I know where our lodging is, I'm just going to start walking.
Yes,
You've got a pretty good idea of where everything's at. You came. Actually, no, you wouldn't, because you had been led by Torek through the back ways, and you're
Well,
just
then
heading on
I'd
the edge
probably-
through.
Then
So
I'd
you
grab
know,
one
you
of
know,
them
you
and
could probably
like,
head south to get towards somewhere you're probably familiar with.
Yeah.
But this is only your second day in the city.
No, actually, yeah. I would probably just start walking. I just start going.
Okay.
Just trying to go.
Dorn, where are you going? Is everything all right?
I'm just trying to head to the lodge, mate. It's been a day.
I can agree with that. I can definitely. Master Torek, excuse me.
Hey, what can I do for you?
Given as we are not familiar with this city and not sure where we are exactly, could you point us in the direction of our lodging? I believe we would like to retire for the night.
I'll take you there myself. He sort of nods to Eska, by your leave, and she nods back, as you will. And he gestures for you to turn and to follow him.
That is most kind. Eska, thank you so much for the use of your facilities and for your aid today. It was quite beneficial and life-saving.
I'm pleased to be of assistance, and truly I do hope that this is the beginning of a fruitful partnership for both of us. Remember, do take time to consider our offer, and we will, of course, aid you in the city, no matter your answer, but we will speak further tomorrow, perhaps the day after, and see what can be accomplished.
Absolutely. We will definitely discuss your offer in full. Thank you.
Oh, quite welcome. And
Oh.
she gives a sort of low whistle and leads the edge, her group over down the street and around a corner, and they're very shortly out of view. And then Torg sort of looks at Yellen. Do you follow me? And he waves his sort of stumpy arm and gestures for you to follow him, and starts leading you south through the city.
Excellent. Let us be away then. Sleep calls.
As he's leading you, he starts talking a little quietly to whoever is closest to him, either Halberd or Solyax. And he just starts saying, "I don't take Eska too personally, if you will. She's got high stakes with her clan and everything going on with the Underlord there. But if you'd give it due consideration, she's not the only one. My sister's boy, he married into a nice family, you understand, but they're in some debt, and, well, he's in rather the same boat as Eska and her clan, and there's family of goblins, and their folk, I know, are good folk, fine makers, you understand, but not too happy to be in their status in the city. They, if they had another alternative, if the Edge could manage to get them out of the sway and the Underlord, there's a lot of good could be done by removing him from power, you understand." And as he's going, he just starts talking and...
Eska, might I inquire, the necklaces I see people wear, the pouches, what is that?
Torek sort of nods, and those are, well, a source of shame for most of us. They're signs of our bond, that we are indebted to one family or another, depending on what they're made of. The fabric bags you'll see some of us wear, they're short term, easy bonds to repay. A year's work, 2 years, and they're done. We pay off the debts. Those you see with the leather bags are, well, they're vassals here in Whitebrand. Their families are bonded to one of the families that they're indebted to serve for generally 5 or 7 generations. And there are protections involved. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad way to go if you have no other means at all, no craft or skill in your family, but it's not a mark of pride.
Well, forgive me for intruding if I was. I just had noticed quite a few and was unfamiliar with their origins.
You'll notice a number. They're marked, you see, the vassal tags, with the mark of those who are responsible for you. And fair number owe their mark to the Underlord.
Right.
Eska's not wrong that something needs to change. And the city is steeped in debt, and it's not right. A man's grandson and great-grandson shouldn't have to pay for the debt that he incurred.
I'm going to look over at Val.
I agree. Sins of the father should not be paid for by the son, or the grandson.
You understand why we ask you. Eska made the offer, but she speaks for all of us. We lucky few, we found our way out. We found the edge. And it's work, even if it's not exactly legal work.
You shouldn't have to turn to less than legal means to merely escape a debt. Mind you, I hold no judgment for your choice of occupation. It's served us well, and there are members in our party who are quite familiar with it. I'm always in awe of those abilities with which you and your kind possess. But it's your lifestyle should be a choice, not an escape.
He sort of
Am
smiles
I-
grimly at you. Yes, Rai, you are still with them for now. You're still being led through sort of side passages and new areas of the city you haven't seen before, mostly staying off of main roads.
I was actually just going to ask if I was close enough to overhear the conversation.
Oh yeah, this is not a private conversation. Torek is speaking loudly enough for y'all to hear if you care to listen in.
Darling, if I might inquire, how about did the system come in place? I haven't seen it in any of the cities.
Most of us don't exactly advertise is what we do. The few of us who have no other recourse, no other work or skill, and he gestures with his stumpy arm again, we stay out of sight for the most part. I've taken my turn begging and trying to gather support of one kind or another, the main streets or by the city gates, and when the edge came, when Malik came here to Whitebrand to set up a new branch, it was the kindest thing anyone did for us. He gave us enough funds to pay off our debts, those he could, and set us some guidelines to live by and try to keep those best we can. It's a family of a kind I didn't think I'd ever experience again.
Yes, darling, I understand shadow organizations, and but more inclined to inquire about the debt that is so prevalent in this city. It is odd, to say the least.
It's unique to Whitebrand, that's for sure. Going other places, starting over, it's an option for some folk. I don't right know how it got started in Whitebrand. One man tried to get something and didn't have the money to pay for it and said, I'll owe you or I'll pay you in time, and it was accepted. And it worked for one. Suppose it was a trend that's caught on.
I will glance over at Kazator, thinking about to the conversation that we had with Fiskin. We had heard something about this very fancy neighborhood up towards the north. Is most of the debt held in that neighborhood?
In the Heights. The vast majority of the wealth in the city is held by the families as live there. Long generations taken to establish their hold and their land there.
Yes, but it is the beholder we must kill.
Is the beholder the root?
I'm sure, I don't know. It's been around longer than I can remember. Underlord active in the city.
Just as Fiskin received his gifts and abilities and his acceptance in the Heights through what he was given by the Underlord, are those in power here in power because of what they brought to the Underlord and were given in return?
Yeah, darling, it's an excellent question.
Our structure of this city, are the oppressed of this city there because of the Underlord? His name certainly seems to suggest something of that nature.
Very interesting question.
In removing him, could we set the city right?
I suppose that would depend on the debt holders, darling.
No, right. I'm slightly confused. Would you rather not remove the beholder or remove the beholder? It seems...
I have absolutely no interest in upsetting the social structure of the system. That is not my role on this planet. Now, as you are from this particular place, my dear Solix, as an arbiter of Bahamut, supposedly a good production here on this planet. What you decide to do is up to you, but that is not my role, and that is not the role the library takes on the planets we go to.
Well, that's fair, I suppose. Just curious, from your own personal standpoint, do you agree with the system that's set up in this city?
I believe they are far more complex than just Kilding and Beholder.
No, absolutely. But do you believe that that is a good place to start, or should we start with those in the Heights?
I believe
If
you
you
have a
were
lot of
to fix
questions
it.
you would need answered first. I would never be able to fix this, darling. I am one person, and I am not of this place. It depends on the people to fix the issue. It would hope that someone who is an arbiter of Bahamut, who supposedly is up for the goodwill of this whole country, would be interested in trying to fix this. But up until now, it seems that you have been unaware of several shadow organizations or the fact that this is even an issue. So that leads to some additional questions.
Yo.
What was that, Doran?
That was Garrett, man. This is
Oh.
getting real.
Well, I, for one, personally have never actually visited this city. I spent a majority of my time in and out of Dragonthrone, so this is my first time coming here, and until now I didn't even know of the plight of this town. So, but given my notion, I would like to actually fix what is going on here. While you may be satisfied with bouncing in and out of worlds, I would like to leave someplace better than when I left it, or leave it better than when I arrived. And despite the fact that this is my home world, I do feel like we, being the powerful people that we can be, it is our duty to help those who might be in need of it.
On this planet, darling, perhaps you have more influence. For the rest of us, our duty is to listen to what the people actually need, just like on any other planet you might go to. For me to impose my beliefs about what their structure and society should look like is inappropriate.
No, that's why you talk to the people. And after talking to some people, it seems like maybe the debt-ridden society that is here and how it is run is not the best option, nor are the people happy with it. Sure, those on top are satisfied with having those below indebted to them, but
so
this
isn't it wonderful, darling, that
system.
We inquired about where the system even started beforehand, rather than just immediately killing a beholder?
I feel like a beholder may be a problem, but it's also, beholders are not natural to this place. They are known for being abominations, and I've never heard of any beholder being a kind and caring entity, and I do not think one known as the Underlord is a kind and compassionate being.
Well, darling, you will excuse me if I don't take too much into that, because from conversations I've had with you, you haven't had good experiences with chromatic dragonborns either.
I personally have learned that just the shade of a person's scales, I should say, does not necessarily mean that they are good or evil. Now, that being said, the history of this world may speak differently, but I feel like, given my position, as you say, perhaps I can change the opinion in this world's view on those of a chromatic nature. Now, that being said, beholders are a different being entirely. He goes by the name of the Underlord, which I cannot believe to be a good thing.
I guess we should ask some more questions to find out, shouldn't we, darling?
True, and also given the status of this world, if I were to fully adhere to the beliefs that were set beforehand, upon you revealing your true self, I probably should have killed you on sight, but I did not, and I think that speaks greatly to the ability for a person to learn and adapt and realize that the beliefs of old are not necessarily beneficial for what is currently going on.
Yes, darling, I can assent to that, but I would also say that it takes more than just one person to decide that there's a change. You need to actually act upon it.
I agree, but it has to start somewhere, does it not?
Yes, so
You are just one person, so maybe you can't change everything, but perhaps you can do something. And I, for one, would like to do something. And if something starts with removing the powerful beholder that seems to have a hold on this city, then I, for one, will attempt to do that. While it may not fix the issue immediately, it may be the tipping stone that can start the avalanche.
and if it becomes apparent that that is necessary and that is what is of benefit to the people here upon their request, then yes, I would be happy to agree to it. But just choosing to kill a beholder, no, that is not of my ilk.
Necessary upon their request? What? Can you explain that one to me, please?
We have found that the debt in the city is not necessarily specifically of the beholder. Maybe there is a further question to it. So perhaps in talking to the Heights, we do find out that yes, the beholder is connected to this. And perhaps in talking to the beholder, we find out maybe death is not the option that you need at this moment. Maybe there are other paths to walk down. But I do not know that killing is something that I am going to immediately jump to as a resolution.
But discussing with
Rightly
our
so.
friend here, he has said that there are members in this city who are indebted to the beholder.
He has said that there are some who are indebted to the beholder and also to some the Heights. But while yes, you could kill them to start off with, I would rather see if a conversation would do more.
And I don't disagree. I was more taken aback by your comment that if you get asked enough, you can go kill someone.
I would never say I would be able to do that, as I have told you many times beforehand. Were the
It's good. It's just what it sounded like.
No, with the library and army, I would be a scout. I do not frequently go about killing things. How to scatter.
Have you killed anything?
No, darling. Isn't that
Do I
interesting?
believe her?
Make an insight check.
I'm remembering an instance of you making a earthquake underneath a bunch of people. Didn't she kill some people then?
Don't know what you're talking about.
The fight of the sleeping people.
Wait,
Wasn't
Bruce.
an earthquake. She created a.
She trampled the ground.
I cast Shatter.
Yeah. And did you
I'm
not
close
kill the
to
people on it?
They were unconscious.
That's like Avatar version. We don't kill people. Nah, dude. It's like Avatar over here. I don't kill any people. You threw him over a cliff. He's fine. You don't kill people like Batman doesn't kill people. Sure. He's sleeping. It's okay. Right, doesn't kill people.
I just
Sure.
left him unconscious. He failed his own death throws.
Exactly.
That is exactly her reasoning.
I just took the lifeblood out of him. I don't know what the problem is.
I walked him to the cliff. It's not my fault he tripped.
Your body's supposed to be able to reproduce blood. I can't help the fact that it's not doing it fast enough. God.
She did not go through and stab a bunch of people through the throat while they were
No.
sleeping.
That's
so.
not the question.
Only one
No,
person.
it wasn't.
Kill someone. You're redirecting the comments.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not what this
Yes,
is.
exactly.
Sorry, it doesn't work that way. I'm so much better. I've not killed anyone except for all those people that I did. Whoops. Never mind.
I actually have to think about. I think it was 2 or 3, but anyway, Lauren.
So, I rolled a 23 on my insight.
I don't know if this
actually-
necessarily requires an insight check for something that you were there to witness.
No, I just wanted her answer, and she said no.
No, I said, isn't that interesting, darling?
Right, but you said
Because
she.
you
hadn't
asked
said
has
about
she
it.
killed anything.
Lauren, do you keep tally marks of the kills we get?
Yeah, because I did ask.
Yeah.
You said so
Uh,
you never killed anyone. You said I haven't. Isn't that interesting, darling?
Yeah.
I thought.
Just
No. Halberd said.
Yes. Yeah.
That actually.
Gryffindor has the right recollection of this. You haven't killed anyone. I haven't. That's a deny. That's a confirming
No,
of.
all I
I'm
said
not
is,
killing
isn't that interesting?
Mm,
We can watch the
We'll
tape.
watch
We'll watch
the
it
tape.
back. We'll watch it back.
We'll watch the tape back.
Man, I need an instant replay of this.
Be kind, rewind.
Oh God, all the nostalgias.
So have we made it to the tavern yet? Because I really would
asked
like
that
to
question.
sleep.
If I may, as we're finishing this conversation, having spent a good portion of my life under the control of others, there is not any being who would willingly
Speak
take
up,
control
please.
of another's life does not deserve mercy, does not deserve consideration. And whether it be due to debt or whether it be due to any sort of malevolence, I think would be a good word, if I'm commenting correctly. Regardless of his reasoning, he has chosen to take control of others' lives. In this, there can be no mercy.
Well,
Now, that being said, he has something we need.
True.
Something we need desperately.
True. I'm also not sure if we simply convince him to not continue it here. I'm not sure what's to keep him from going somewhere else and continuing this profitable lifestyle he's developed.
In the grand scheme of things, if that were to be the case, we can come back and deal with it. But at the moment, we have a journal to retrieve.
Yes.
If he'll give it to us willingly, we take it willingly. If he won't, then no mercy shown.
Given the fact that this were any other world, I might agree with you, but given the fact that this is my home, I cannot just leave here. Yes, the books are important. Yes, the Sanctum restoration is important, but at the end of the day, I am more aligned to the well-being of this world and the people on it than I am to the restoration of the Sanctum and its continuance.
Which is why I started everything with, he has chosen to take control of others' lives.
Yes.
No mercy shown.
His continuing is something I'm not sure. I'll have to sit on it quite a lot to see if I can.
Given
agree
our
with it.
current state, I think sleeping on it might be better.
Right. Yes. That being said, oh look, we're here.
Torek has, in fact, led you south out of the old quarter through Artist Alley and into New Point District. And y'all are just a few streets away from the Beggar's Banquet, where you have had your lodging.
Yes. Well, I believe this is where we will take our leave of you. Thank you so much for all of your aid today.
You're quite welcome, and I'll be nearby. Tomorrow, is anything you have need of me? He looks over at Halberd. The usual symbols, or the calls, the whistles. They'll summon me.
very good. Once again, I do greatly appreciate you. Be safe, stay out of sight, and we'll be in contact soon.
You as well. And he gives a bow and turns and starts walking up the street.
Need a spice at least.
All right, well, I do believe sleep is in order. I, for one, can definitely use it.
Same.
Quesator?
Yes.
Would you mind taking a look at, I'm going to pull out the cloak and the dagger
Okay.
and handing those to, would you mind taking a look at these? I believe Howard, you wanted these, so you guys are sharing a room, so I'm going to hand them to them and say, do what you will. Howard, these are yours.
That's pretty cool.
So one of you now have Kahir's cloak and dagger. So to identify. They are magical. I did figure that out.
Okay. Cool.
I still have her stuff and jewelry.
Yep.
All right. And then,
I thought something else glowed.
nope, it was just those two.
Mhm.
Oh, and then the magic potions, which he already has.
They weren't magic.
The
potions,
potion, some of the potions glowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So some of them are magical. So whichever ones those were, I don't know. He's put them in his pocket, and I
Identifies.
haven't seen them.
All the identifies.
What is the sleeping arrangement again? I don't remember. It's been a little bit. It was. It's the
Albert
three of
Knight.
it's Solex, Val, and Dorn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Cool. Then let us go to sleep, please.
All right.
How
As
much
y'all-
is it?
It is getting close to midnight at this time.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and
I'm
just
still up.
identify the things real quick.
Okay. You have a cloak of protection, a vicious dagger, and 2 magically enhanced poisons.
Wow.
Albert, would you like to hang on to these?
I mean, very much yes. But would you like?
Do you mind sharing with us what the cloak of protection does for those of people who don't know what that is?
All right. Cloak of protection. Let me pull this back up here
I'm
real
gonna be
quick.
freaking out because it's amazing.
Oh, dunk.
The cloak of
It's
protection
magic.
is a +1 bonus to AC and saving throws while you wear the cloak. It does require attunement, just so you know. And then the vicious dagger is when you roll a 20, so when you crit to hit, the target will take an extra 2d6 piercing damage in addition to the doubled 1d4.
Caesar, how armored are you?
Moderately. I just have studded leather armor and what do I have? Do I have like bracers or something? Hold on.
You have your shield pendant.
Right, I have my shield pendant, which I can activate to increase AC. Oh, come on. No, what is happening? My AC is 16. I'm looking stuff up, but I know that.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay.
So either one of you could benefit from that.
Yeah. Would you like to use the cloak?
Yeah, I think maybe just studded leather.
Also, how many things do you have attuned?
The shield pendant is attuned, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the attuned item, yeah. I don't know who my index cards are. I think that's all I have attuned. Because Flame Tongue doesn't take attunement. Right? Where's my index?
I don't believe so. Let me look up real quick.
Does your crossbow take
Yeah, no,
attunement?
Flame Tongue doesn't take attunement. Enchanting Crystal. The Enchanting Crystal is just absorbed into the weapon.
No, okay.
Right.
Yeah, so no, just the shield pendant requires attunement. Yep, that's the only one listed for my cards. So I think that's all I have.
Yeah.
attuned.
Go ahead and wear this. I'd feel safer if you were safer. I think that it would be good to make sure you're taken care of so you can actually get to your sister.
I feel like we all need to stay alive right now.
I feel like you more so.
Very well. You said +1 to AC and saves.
Yep,
God.
that's a great one. That's solid.
That is real nice.
I'm so glad she failed that saving throw.
Yep. +1 to AC and saves.
It was a close one too. It was so close.
That would make me stupid.
I
good
want-
for my saves and AC.
To bring Nightbane out into the room.
My AC solid
Okay.
saves.
How does he look?
He looks healthy. You do notice he is actually holding something. He's got one of his tentacles wrapped around a crossbow.
I would like to take that from him.
You take it. You look it over. It's a well-made crossbow.
Quesator, one more time, if you don't mind.
I will identify the crossbow.
What type of crossbow is it? Heavy, light, hand?
Let me pull up the stats for you. And this is one I will actually have to send to whoever ends up getting it. I believe it is a light crossbow. And it is a poisonwood crossbow. It is a magical item, and it enhances any poisoned ammunition that is fired from it.
That's awesome.
Yes, light crossbow. I'll send the actual stat block for it to whoever decides to end up with it.
I'll hold on to it for right now. But
All right.
And
So you will get that
Quesator,
this week.
you would know that I have a collection of bolts in the bag of holding that I've been keeping for you that would work for that. So,
I mean, it just needs bolts, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
You got my bolts, then yeah, you've got the stock.
I have arrows and bolts for y'all. So, long rest, yes?
Long rest.
Oh,
Anything else?
Sweet merciful
Thank
goodness.
God.
Hold up.
When I was at the Temple of Ayun, there was mention of sending somebody, what's her name, was going to go, white brand, we got,
Lannis? Is that right?
yes, Lannis, was going to send somebody to go grab me a copy of the Lay of Kolya.
Yep.
Do I have that?
You do not yet.
Okay. Darn, never mind.
Soon.
Cool.
It's got to be located first, pulled out of the archives, and prepared.
Okay. All right.
So, question.
Yes,
After my 4 hours, can I work on the little puzzle that I have?
you certainly can.
Yay! Happy to do that.
Speaking of, while everyone is asleep, Solyx.
No, God, no. I'm working on spells. I'm working on spells right now. God.
You're asleep. Deeply asleep. I need you to make a perception check.
In my sleep?
In your sleep.
Oh, well, that's pity. I got a 6.
6.
Cruel.
Okay.
Cruelty.
So
Good.
you don't hear that, and you don't hear that.
For the record, Val's in the same room as me.
Yes, I'm aware. No, this is just for
You're
you.
dreaming.
Because in your sleep, you hear a voice, a speaking voice, fairly quiet actually, and it's a female voice, fairly melodic, familiar to you. You hear talking to you briefly something about
It's creepy.
to Dragon Throne, accepted, Paladin candidate. A little more complicated. Some powerful figures take notice. Bodyguards. Just in case. And by about this point, you've heard this voice, and it's taken 10 or 12 seconds, but you're starting to wake up. And you're listening, and you hear you're tuning in just enough to recognize Sarai's voice as she's talking to you. And she's saying, the situation isn't sitting right with me. I've asked our cohort to consider making a pilgrimage to Dragonthrone this year. Please come. And the spending spell cuts off there. The sending spell.
We're going to Dragon.
Does Sarai just like Verizon Wireless us?
I think so.
No, that's Sprint.
T-Mobile.
Well, right. You wanted me to come to Dragonthrone. I'm sorry you caught me when I was sleeping. I missed some of that.
Got 7 left.
Left 7.
She could have just left a voicemail, you know.
Am I needed at Dragonthrone right now?
All right, that's it.
You hear a response. Let me double check my word count here too, real quick.
Oh boy. So we're not going to kill the beholder. I just really want to see Bahamut show up and squash the beholder.
All
right.
Divine intervention.
That's okay.
Well, you know, you got to get the summon material for Bahamut first.
A team out.
There's like 2 people out there that got that, and, you know, high five.
Alright, Soyix.
Fantasy people.
I'm low.
Vanera would love to see you again. And Xantier misses Doran. But powerful figures are nervous here in the city, and your presence would only help.
Well, I will do what I can to get there quickly. Currently attempting to deal with the Underlord. Do you happen to know anything about him? He seems quite dangerous.
Love you, bye.
Don't have to use a wall.
It's a beholder, yo.
Yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else that I can
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
say.
This is my last sending. I'm unfamiliar with that name, but I can do some research here in the city and get back to you. If I can help in any other way, do let me know.
Tell the kids that I say hello, and I will do what I can to get to you. Any information you have would be quite useful. Thank you. And that's it. Shut up, you!
That's where we'll go ahead and we'll end the session for today.
No!
Oh, good. That'll give me time to pick spells.
I know. I'm in the middle of like reading through spells. I don't get to pick many. You're like, Soyax. And I'm like, but bless.
By the way, Brenda, I love you. I think you're great.
Yes.
But man, this is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, no hard feelings either direction.
Ah, this is quite fun and strangely
Yeah, no,
pertinent.
I had no idea
Yeah.
when I was putting the socio-political, economic everything, building that for White Brand, how relevant it would become.
It's a little odd, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
did this, Lauren. You did
I'm
this.
sorry. All I can say
No.
is that I will be doing my best to handle this with the sensitivity that this issue deserves.
Mhm.
So
And I guess we'll pick this up next week, eh?
we will pick this up next week. For those of you who
Or
tuned in to join
will.
us today, thank you. Thank you for coming on the adventure with us. We hope that you had fun. I know we certainly did. Oh, good session, guys.
That's fun.
But thank you. We will
No
see
one
you all next
died.
week. Have a blessed week, and please remember to be kind to each other, to evaluate your actions before you act, and to really remember to love your neighbor. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.